I'm going to talk about, as you see, kernel representation of a class of nonlinear operators, namely orthogonally additive polynomials. I'll define them a little bit later. And just to remind, you can see here the classical, very well-known definition of a kernel operator, linear kernel operator. I'm reminding that omega sigma mu is the usual space with a sigma finite measure. L0 is the space of all classes of equivalence of measurable functions on omega sigma mu. And E and F we will consider like so-called ideal function spaces or ideals in this in L0 over omega sigma mu 1 and L0 omega 2 sigma 2 mu 2. I suggest you to keep in mind that ideal function space, I will call it ideal or ideal function space, is LP space or LQ standard space. Here is the definition. A linear operator is said to be to admit kernel representation or integral representation, or to be integral if this equality holds for measurable two-valued measurable function of two variables, which is called kernel. Usual convention is this theory is that when we use a function, we keep in mind that we talk about class of equivalence, and we pick a representer from this class of equivalence and we work with it. Kernel operators. There is a connection between positivity and kernels. We say, the definition, we say that a linear operator is positive if it sends positive elements into positive elements. In the terms, in the notations which I suggested you, we speak about LP-LQ spaces. That's why this definition holds. And the operator is positive if and only if its kernel is positive. This is the symbol by which we denote positive operators. So the theory of kernel operators, integral operators, is a classical topic of functional analysis. It stems to works of Valtera, Fred-Golm, Schmidt, Hilbert, and the question of representation of kernel operators it arose from, it stems to a historical debate between Paul Dirac and von Neumann while they were trying to describe quantum mechanics. And what happened? Paul Dirac, he suggested to use a very elegant and powerful tool for description of power mechanics, so-called Dirac delta function. It was determined by following properties. The function is defined on the whole real line. It takes values equal to 0 everywhere except one point where it is equal to infinity. And what is interesting, the integral is equal to 1. These improper property, incompatible properties are of Dirac delta function. Von Neumann called this function kind of mathematical fiction, yeah. And he suggested to replace this tool, which was, yes, powerful, which was in use, but he suggested to replace it by straight machinery, which was based on the theory of operators in Hilbert spaces. So his question was, which operators on L2 spaces are defined by kernels? Yes, of course. It was stated in 1935. And in more general, this question can be asked as follows. Which linear operator acting between ideal function spaces, E and F, admit kernel representation, let it be kernel representation. And various variance and useful sufficient conditions have been suggested, but none of them was necessary. And the final solution was found by Buchwalov in 1974. First, very quickly, we will need the notions of convergence. Okay, we are again in an ideal function space, and we say that a sequence Fn in E is converges almost everywhere to a function f. If okay, how to say, if the limit, if the limit of Fn is equal to f in all points except the set with measure 0, negligible set. And we say that the sequence convergence in measure, if the measure of the set where the deviation between Fn and f is greater or equal than epsilon, stems to 0. So obviously we can say that from the convergence almost everywhere we have convergence in measure, but the converse is not true. And the theorem, Buchwalov's theorem, gives us kind of converse, something like a converse of this statement. Okay, it says that very shortly, yeah, the linear operator is kernel, admits kernel representation, if and only if for any bounded sequence we have the following, which the sequence, this operator sends the sequence which is convergent in measure to the sequence which converges almost everywhere. So this is the literature article paper where it was proved. Here I want to to note one interesting consequence from the Buchwalov theorem. Let me define by this symbol the space of linear operators which can be represented by kernels, and there is the following interesting property, corollary. If you have two operators such that one is positive and one is greater than another, and the one which is greater admits kernel representation, then the one which is less, it also admits kernel representation. In this situation, S is called, T is called dominated by S, and S is the dominant of T. By the way, this problem is called domination problem, and it stems also from the physics. It was posted for the other property. Here you see we use the property being kernel, and for the another property which is called when operators are compact, it was stated by Boris Simon. He was here very quickly because it's physics. Don't ask me anything about this, just trust me. He was investigating Schrödinger operator with magnetic potential. Here it is written here, A means magnetic potential. And he suggested an equality where this guy is Schrödinger operator without magnetic potential. And there is the following correlation between these operators. Let me say so, that the Schrödinger operator without magnetic potential is greater or equal to Schrödinger operator with magnetic potential. And this is exactly domination problem. I mean, where it is, I'll say. The question was, of course, compactness is very good property for description of operators, and if the question was the following: if this guy is compact, will this guy inherit the same property? This is called domination problem for compact operators. It was stated in 1978 and was solved by Dodds and Fremlin in next year, 1979. So it inherits. And from here, there was a huge area of research. It opened many different interesting properties. I mean, when you substitute the property of being compact or integral, as we saw before, by some property, and there appears a lot of opportunities to solve different tasks. Now back to our problem. I promised you to show how this class of polynomials, nonlinear operators, can be expressed through kernels. Does the Bukhalov theorem is the Bukhalov theorem still valid in the case when we, instead of a linear operator, we use so-called polynomials? Now the definition. By again, E and F are function ideal function spaces, and by n homogeneous polynomial we call the following. What is this? This is the there exists a multilinear operator phi, and it's when we district it into diagonal, we get such a mapping which is called polynomial. Such phi is called generating for polynomial for polynomial p, and there are many generating multilinear operator for exact polynomial p. But in the case when this multilinear operator is symmetric, it is unique for polynomial and is called associated and is denoted by this symbol. Okay, we use the special class, we investigate the special class of polynomials which is called orthogonally additive polynomials. Polynomial is called orthogonally additive if the additivity equation is fulfilled into a pair of disjoint elements. This means that functions phi and j, I say functions because we work in ideal function spaces, are disjoint, or one can say the supports do not intersect. By this symbol, we denote the space of orthogonally additive and homogeneous polynomials acting between ideal function spaces E and F, and it is obvious in the case when n is equal to 1, we get the space of linear operators from E to F. This I will skip. And what we call kernel polynomial, or what does mean that an n-homogeneous polynomial admits kernel representation. It is the definition is here in the slide. It is just the same with the linear case. The only difference is that under the integral we have a function which is raised, j. The function j is raised into the power of n, and it turns out that the Bukhalov type theorem is also true for n-homogeneous orthogonally additive polynomials. You can see it here on the slide. So it was proved, published in Mathematical Notes, and it is not a fresh result. The following way of investigation was the following. Okay, here we see that our polynomial acts between ideal function spaces, as I suggested you to think LP and LQ standard spaces. And what happens if we take the LP Bochner space instead of LP standard? Okay, let us see. I'll just remind what is LP Bochner space. It consists of measurable functions such that this integral exists. The norm is defined as follows. Bochner measurable function means that there is a sequence of step functions such that this limit is equal to 0. And again, the definition of convergences here, they are the same with the real valued case, but just know that here we use the norm instead of modulus, norm in X. X is Banach space, somewhere before it was written. And yeah, It's turned out that it is not the most general case of kernel representation can be found in the case when we talk about weak kernel polynomials. And here is the definition. Okay, let us see what is here. We consider for now a polynomial which acts between LP, LQ Bochner spaces, and we say that it admits weak kernel representation if there exists a measurable kernel K which acts here, such that this equality is fulfilled. Here you see the standard integral, not Bochner integral, and this is the definition of weak integral polynomial. And here are also two technical definitions which are needed to formulate the result. And here, the domination problem, we already talked about it, the domination. And this is really very important, but for understanding, we can omit this definition. And the theorem. Okay. Here we see the following, that if our polynomial, as I promised, acts between Bochner LP spaces, then it admits and this is the important property which is needed, and also the polynomial is dominated, orthogonally additive, as we already understand, then the polynomial admits weak kernel representation if and only if. By the way, this property is called, I didn't say it before when I was talking about Buchwalov problem, that the operator or polynomial enhances the type of convergence. So you can see it here. It turned out that this result is true for more general case when our polynomial acts between Kyoto function spaces instead of Bochner LP space. Here it is defined. By the way, Kyoto Bochner function space is defined. I just repeated here the Bochner LP space definition, and near I gave the Kyoto-Bochner function space definition to be to ensure that they are very similar. And so our polynomial will act here in general case between Kyoto-Bochner function space and the space of weakly measurable vector functions, which is defined as follows. And the norm is given by formula here. And as a result, we get the following theorem. We say that here are these additional properties which I promised, that X is, again, as far as it is not done yet, this is kind of, I hope that it is written here correct. I think that it is written here correct. I just want to say you that I want to prove the theorem, and I think it will be not very difficult to prove, that if P admits kernel representation, not weak representation, this means the following. Then the but we will need one more property, which is called Radon-Nikodym property. So the Banach's lattice Y got to possess Radon-Nikodym property, and in that case we'll have that polynomial admits kernel representation if and only if it enhances the type of convergence. So I hope I will prove it in a very in nearest time. That's all. Thank you for your attention.